today, and today I wanted to talk to you about something that is not often discussed, and that is the idea of finding your own cadence or moving at your own rhythm. So, in my morning run yesterday, I realized that something that's really fucking awesome that I'm doing currently in my leaning out process, cutting, whatever, is essentially switching up the gears for myself at different times, right? So in the day, I start out with a low intensity training or a low intensity jog, right? Like a nice brisk jog done at a pace where I'm essentially not raising my heart rate too much, but I'm moving just enough to where I can build up a nice sweat. Right. Then later on in the afternoon, I'll actually get into the workout of the day. And that's what I really try to kick it into high gear, right? Just hitting set after set, like boom, 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 boom. Like really ramping up my heart rate. And it got me to thinking about how this effect allows me to not only just shock my body to ridiculous levels, but to also allow me to pace myself and set the course for whatever it is I'm doing. By doing this, I've also realized that I have a higher chance of actually fucking sticking in there and finishing through with something that I set out for myself than if I started at a really high pace or high speed and just burn myself out. So as I was running, I got to thinking about this idea of rate or speed, but more specifically in like how they teach it to us in engineering physics, right? Where they say that speed is equal to the rate at which an object moves through space or through a distance over time. And by knowing this rate, you're essentially able to calculate how long it will take an object to move a certain distance or how much of a distance an object would have traveled in a specific amount of time, right? So it's really cool because I actually just got into it more and I was like, holy shit, actually, you could take it even further. And in this context, for example, when they talk about speed, in that sense, they measure it as meter per second, right? So how many meters an object travels in 1 second? But then I realized, what if you removed m and you just replaced it or simplified it by the rate at which you do x per second or per millisecond or per a specific period of time? So how is this useful? Let me explain. So I actually realized that essentially it's almost like we have these different gears, right? Like, for example, when you're running, you can think about the way that your hands are moving, right? You can bring your energy and awareness onto the movement of your arms, right? And then as you're doing that, you start thinking about how by increasing the rate at which you swing your hands up and down, you'll actually be going faster, right? Or you can start thinking about how by focusing on your legs, right, and the rate at which you start moving, bobbing from the next step to the next and next, you'll start moving quicker. It's like really, really fucking cool. And it made me realize how awesome speed changes and how much it can affect. And the crazy little subtle little results that you really wouldn't pay attention to, but if you did, could really make a difference over a longer period of time, right? So how this translates in other fields, for example, in soccer, there are like, what I've come to into it is there are 3 different rates, right? The rate at which you're moving forward, like your body, and then there's the rate at which the ball is moving forward. But then there's also something that most people forget, but the rate at which the space between you and the ball is changing and how much of a gap is in there. Because if the ball is too far away from you, then you don't have as much tight cornered control over it, essentially not being able to bring it back in to the inside and make maybe quick left or right cuts or even passes, right? But if it's too close to you, you can't get it out of your feet quick enough and make passes and plays in time. So there's almost like there's a sweet spot between these three different speeds. And essentially, it's better to start out learning how to walk with it first, walk with the ball, and then gradually increasing your speed and essentially running full pace with it. So I realized by doing this, you actually get so much more control. If you start something out gradually first, start from where you are, and then just gradually increase it, you will have such a more fine-tuned control over whatever process you're going through, because you'll be moving at a pace, a rhythm, a cadence that is naturally in line with your current ability and level with that process or whatever it is you're trying to do, right? So something that made me think about this is, for example, like some people are like, oh dude, Steve, how do you just like blow through all your workouts and shit and like you literally don't stop? And I'm like, it's kind of funny, but you know, it's not that like I just got to this level like magically. It took 6-7 years to get to where I'm at, right? A quick story, like I was born in Cameroon, spent a year in Kenya where I learned English, then spent 5 years in Angola, and then came to the US after that, and I was 12 at that time. And my life drastically changed by the discovery of McDonald's. Because where I'm from, and most parts in Africa are the same, people are more tied to a lifestyle where you cook your food at home, right? You don't really go out and eat. So I was like, holy shit, there is fast food. You go in line and they just serve it to you. Holy shit. So I just ballooned, getting man boobs and all types of shit, because I just discovered how quick and easy it was to order a meal from McDonald's and all these fast foods. And then it caused a lot of issues because in high school I wanted to play sports like soccer or American football, but I felt like my weight would be a huge fucking issue, right? So then at some point, sophomore year, I was just like, you know what? I'm not gonna get any younger. I'm about to be ending my high school life, so I might as well just give it a shot, right? So I just went ahead and played soccer my sophomore year, and it was the most trying experience I have ever had, physically at least, in my life up until that time, because I was the fat kid on the team, so fat that I was fucking called Donut. The black kid that is round. So anyways, but one thing, and that really planted the seeds of this idea of moving at your own cadence, was that I always promised and told myself to never fucking give up. So that means that if we're running, I might be one of the last people running, but I will never fucking stop running. I might be running really, really slow to the point where to outside eyes it might look like I am maybe even walking, but I would just always be running. And it was something that I just always resolved myself to do, right? And I feel like it gave me tremendous advantages early on, because it almost set the stage for what I call beast mode mentality now, where I just don't fucking quit for anything. So after that year, I quit because I was kind of down on myself, having been called names and not feeling like I was up to par physically. And I just took it upon myself, nevertheless, to just continue my change and my desire to change my body. So at first, I was like, okay, I gotta fucking run and I gotta work out. So at first, when I started running, I could only run maybe down the street and then back. And then at one point, it was down a little bit more and then back. And then at one point, it was like down all the way down to another part of the neighborhood and then back. And then it culminated to down and running all the way around the fucking neighborhood and back. A total of 3 miles for a year straight. On top of that, also, I started carrying a gallon of water with me because I heard that, and I had read that hydration is incredibly powerful and does a lot of benefits to someone who's trying to increase her metabolism, right, and change their body. So, as uncomfortable as it was, carrying a gallon of water with you in high school, I just did it. And having to always fucking pee in between periods and class all the time, it sucked. But I just felt like because of where I'm at and where I'm trying to go, this is what I had to do, right? So then also on top of that, I enrolled in a weight training class. And it was one of those, it's that elective class that everyone has the option of signing up to. And of course, you can always slack, right? Because the teacher gives you the workout, but he's not going to be after you to follow it to the letter. But I was like, you know what, dude? You could have been taking a foreign language. You could have been taking another science class. You could have even chosen another even cooler elective. Maybe even art or band. But you chose this one. So why not fucking give it your all, right? You get out what you put in. So if you want to look good, you have to just do really fucking good. And that's what I did. I just took the workouts really, really seriously and just killed myself. And it sucked because when I first started, I couldn't even really bench 135, so a 45 plate. I think the first time I benched, the most I could do was 125. And slowly but surely, though, I just gradually increased and gradually kept at it until I could bench way more than my body weight. So, because of that class, I managed to also get a feel for the kind of workouts and exercises that would really benefit my body and my health and shape it into the way that I want it to look like. And it really gave me the first early seeds at what a proper workout routine should look like. So once I had gotten my routine and form and exercise down, I just kept going at it and stuck through it and just build up on it. When I felt like I could add more weight without fucking up my form, I would do so, and I pushed myself. When I felt like I added too much weight, I would just go back, and I just lost myself to the process, because I realized nothing comes immediately. It's all a matter of time. Time always has to be spent for anything worth doing to come. So that's what I did. Then senior year, I was like, dude, I'm in really good shape. Fuck this, I'm gonna play football. It's my senior year, why not, right? And if I had been doing really good with my workouts, football took it to a whole other level. That's where that beast mode mentality was really forged. Because in there, you learn key things. For example, you can always fucking go one more if you believe you can. That's where I really fundamentally understood that it's all about mind over matter. If you feel like you're tired, but you think you can go an extra rep, you will do an extra rep. But if you feel like you're tired and you think you can't, you won't. It's as simple as fucking that. Your body listens to your orders, not the other way around. Also, on top of that, it was really cool to essentially see the power of being placed around other like-minded people who are pushing you, right? So you'd be sitting there and you're like, I want to do this. And everyone's like, let's fucking go. Yeah. And I'm like, shit, yeah, turn up. And all of a sudden you just have all this energy out of nowhere and you just keep going.
And then it really also showed me how powerful supersets were, because we'd have like maybe 5 or 6 exercises, and you would do it, then your partner would do it, then you would do it, then your partner would do it, then you would do it, then your partner would do it. There was no real rest in between. We're essentially always working, and it really, really drove the point home of the power of how powerful your body actually is. Like, you have to essentially pressure yourself. You have to literally condition it to see that there is no fucking stopping. And once you really show that by not ever taking a rest, it's almost like it surrenders and opens up its full potential and just unleashes awesomeness. This is how I essentially took that idea, and now I always, like, without fail, increase in one rep or the other every 2 or 3 weeks, because I'm always supersetting, and I try to cut down my rest time in between sets to maybe 30 seconds to a minute at that, and the results are just massive. I talked about this recently in one of my Snapchat stories, and how I believe it's actually essentially kind of like a concept from, if you've seen a Dragon Ball Z, where when they die or when they reach near death, when they recover, they go to the next level, because it's almost like they build up this short, quick acting energy storage that is stored in your body. And so these levels are reached in moments of high stress and high pressure without any seeming possibility of resting anytime soon. And so your body just does and does and does and does and does. And so when you train yourself to constantly access that power, your body increases that energy storage. So look into that. But it was really amazing. It was a transformational experience, and that's something I will always cherish for the rest of my life. I really loved that part of my life, playing football. So after that ended, I just kept going at it, and I just took that mindset to the next level. And as I mentioned, I just gradually built on it. So then doing workouts, and then also now I have routines for each muscle group, right? So every single day I'm dedicating it to a specific muscle group. It could be chest and back, it could be shoulders, it could be arms, or it could be legs, right? But every single day I'm just doing that. And then all of a sudden now I'm like, okay, I'm going to add abs, an ab section at each day. And then I'm like, you know what, I'm going to add a cable portion that is working out that muscle group of the day as well. And I just built on it to where I am at today. So it wasn't something I just like came out of the womb being able to do, but it was a gradual, slow, and incremental process, respecting the speed, the pace, the cadence at which I could go at every single level. I'm always so sad to see people that essentially overload themselves or just do way more than they should handle because they feel like they should be doing strength and be growing strong. When what happens is, yes, you'll get that short-term gain, but long-term, you get muscular skeletal issues. Like, you'll have fucked up joints, fucked up back, fucked up like necks and shit, all because you just did way more than the muscle could at that time. And so you weakened your foundation. And so now later on, you don't have structural, foundational integrity. And honestly, that is more important than anything else. So always understand to take your time. Take your time. Strength, weight gains will come if you do everything right. So, something that's really interesting to me also is the rate of growth. And it kind of ties into what I was saying, because I feel like a lot of the time we beat ourselves up when we compare ourselves to other people who have maybe more success in an area of life, maybe health, maybe they look way shredded and lean, maybe wealth, they're like fucking loaded out the ass, or relationships, like hottest girls and whatnot. But the thing is, we often forget that we don't see the full picture. Maybe that person who's really lean and doing all this shit is taking all these fucking supplements and steroids that essentially enhance their body to where they can perform at that level. And honestly, personally, I don't buy that. I literally just recently started taking protein because I realized that there's no other realistic ways I could get enough protein in to meet my macronutrient goals. There is absolutely no way. But even that, it was really hard for me to convince myself, because I've always believed in doing shit that will always stand long term, that will always be unreliant of external factors. Like later on, when you stop taking that shit, can you still say that you will be at that same level? And if the answer is no, then it's a crutch, and you should work towards working without it. Now, I'm not saying that if you're doing everything right already and it's just like the cream of the crop, right? But too often than not, most people don't do that. They rely solely on their crutch, and then you see how it almost puts a superficial form of success, right? So maybe that person is wealthy, right, and they have all these millions, but you don't know what's going on in the back, right? You just never know. You never know who's who. You never know if it could be a drug dealer, or they did a deal with the devil. Just like crazy shit. But also at the same time, you never know how much hard work, sweat, blood, and tears someone put in to essentially be able to reap and cherish the fruits of their labor that you're seeing. So when you see someone achieving massive amounts of success, don't hate them. It's just so petty. Rather, just take it on as motivation, inspiration of what can be possible, of what you can aspire and get to on your own if you put in the work. And it's all about really staying humble to it, right? It sounds so cliche and corny, but it's so true. Because honestly, what is hating on someone that's doing better going to do for you? Nothing, right? All it does is just feed more negative energy on your life and adds more shine on their life. When instead of doing that, you could take that negative energy, fuel it to working towards making your life better and then getting to their level. That's how I always try to see things. But it's just really interesting, though, how if you take your time with everything you do, if you take your time to get in touch with your rhythm, if you take your time to get in touch with your cadence, with the rate at which you naturally move, the rate at which you naturally swing your punch and then slow down, waiting until your opponent lets his guard down, and then swing through, you will be mind blown by how effective the hit lands every time, by how effective you will reach your goal, because you're not stretching for anything. You're striving towards it. You're working towards it. And when you're at that rhythm, not too slow, not too fast, but just right, nothing is impossible. Nothing. I always try to remember that essentially it's almost this weird thing, but it's like there's a rule of 3 in everything. There's really fast, medium, and slow. So in my burnouts for calves, I do that, right? A set when I'm going really like turbo, a set when I'm going regular, and a set when I'm going slow. And then there's like 3 different parts of each muscle, right? A high part, middle part, and a low part. And I do the same thing when I work them out. And it's really interesting to see how when you mess with little gears, right? when you, like, just as I was talking about with the boxing thing, or just with the soccer, like, all these little micro gears that don't seem to be there but are, because there are so many components to the unit that we are. Things are just epic. Taking action on the idea, on the vision that you're trying to achieve, even if you're not there yet, because it's all about momentum. Like, just as I spoke about in my story, if I had not ran that first day, I probably would never be here. See, most people talk about doing things and whatnot, but I learned a while ago, and reminded constantly again recently, that your brain doesn't give a fuck about promises. All it cares about is proof. All it cares about is you proving it to yourself that you're an executioner, that you will execute on the ideas and the things that you say you want to do. Whether or not it works out or not, it doesn't matter, but the action is all that matters. Something as simple as, after finishing this video, taking a walk will give you tremendous amounts of momentum in ways you won't even fathom. Something as simple as looking up and actually going to the gym, like actually going in there and working out. Even if you don't get the greatest workouts of all time, at least you showed up and did something, and that counts more than anything else. Anyways, hope you guys got something out of this, and as always, until next time.